Hi there, listener. You're about to experience TADPOG. Tyler and Dave play old games, and there will be plenty of game talk, but also copious amounts of crude, off-color, offensive, and immature speech. So if you are of a rather sensitive humor constitution, we're just letting you know what you're in for with this show. It has games. It has jokes. You know, just games and jokes. Take the games, take the jokes, and have a good time.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to another TADPOG podcast. It's a show that happens twice a week where two old guys, one rather young lady, and I really like you, Ian, but one much older guy.
Accurate.
Play old games. So you heard me say a new name for the first time. So new to the show is Dave's friend and guy I've gamed with 3 times, Ian Chandler.
Hi.
So welcome to the show.
Hey, Ian.
Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time visitor.
It's weird to hear Tyler say much older because I don't consider you much older. But then again, I am older than Tyler and much older than Nicole. So
Well,
So
I
are you
think-
much older than I am?
I don't know how old you are.
she's like 22.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not 22.
Oh, okay.
But she did enjoy me saying that. I can tell.
Well, I'm 42, so I'm old.
No, wait, I mean,
Ish.
not old, but if we're
Relative.
saying we're old in our early
Yeah.
30s, then
Yeah, I mean, I've got you about 10, 15,
We're-
11 years probably.
We're really only here to insult you.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we aim to insult you.
It's strange how often that happens, really. Because all my time is spent with people younger than me. Wait, maybe I shouldn't have said. Can you delete that?
I've been roasted many times. And then still one rather young lady, Nicole Nance.
Yes, 22. You all heard that.
And I-
Really like that.
And I said last week, and she probably doesn't know what I'm talking about,
Nope.
that she's bringing in the biggest of lady boners today.
Yes.
Yeah. Because playing, it's original flavor Wednesday, so we are playing down through Dorkly's top 25 N64 games with number 3, Super Mario 64.
Yep.
Yep.
I have been looking forward to this since you guys mentioned that you were thinking about doing the 64 list.
You did mention this game a very, very long time ago.
Yeah. So.
And I threw my hat in the ring quick.
I was pleased to hear that.
Had to.
Me too. I was honestly pleased. Like when you sent me a text message, I was like, Ian listens to the show now? That's
Oh,
great.
I couldn't. Now I'm addicted. So,
Yeah.
Because we lost Burger Bottom John Turley.
someone asked me about him. They were like, "How's he doing?" I'm like, "How should I know?"
Right? You haven't been to check on him yet?
He's
at basic training?
essentially in the equivalent of prison.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, he gets fewer rights than most prisoners because he can't call anyone. So I don't know how he's doing, but we miss him. He'll be back eventually.
Probably not on this show though until both of his children are graduating.
Yeah,
Probably not. He'll find that he loves it and won't want to come home.
Until we find out Patreon people kick in enough money to get John Turley a sitter every Wednesday.
That is a good Patreon goal. That is an excellent
is.
Patreon goal.
It really is.
When we reach $300 a month, we will get John Turley babysitting.
I think we need to make it like a super high amount. Just because I want to run it up. Just because I would like to.
Well, and childcare is really expensive, so like
is.
$2,000 a month. John Turley gets childcare one day a week.
Or it's enough so you and I can do this full time so we can spend one night. You and me will just watch John's kids
Okay.
and try not to fuck him up too bad.
Or to see how much damage we can do one day a week.
Or just start a podcast with John's children.
See if we can make like his oldest into like Dexter. It's fine. It's an admirable goal. So Dave, normally I would go first, but I think you should go first.
You think I should go
I think
first?
you should go first.
Why?
Because you have a story and I'm still formulating mine.
I barely have a story. I was trying to think last week. I mentioned I was thanking Patreon donors, and Ian, you donated on Patreon, so I mentioned your name, and I almost told a story about you, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna hold on to that for Super Mario 64.
Uh-oh.
You look a little worried.
I'm really not. I'm just Go ahead.
And I might have even mentioned this on the show before, but if I did, it was a long time ago. I remember.
Who are you first, though?
I am Dave. I am your bespectacled host.
Okay.
Everyone knows who I am.
People have become the first time. What is this guy? What does he wear on his face?
Tyler, when you are the class of internet celebrity that we are, we don't have to introduce ourselves. I remember the very first time I had, in my life, the very first time I had a beer. It was from Ian Chandler at work.
Yes, it was.
He's a good boss. He's a good boss.
I was.
All right.
You were my boss at Apex, and I do not know what the occasion was because it wasn't a regular thing. Like
It's Tuesday.
Actually, that's probably not too far from the truth.
I mean, it wasn't like super regular, but I do remember you weren't there in evenings very often, and you were there on an evening shift, which I always worked. And I remember you brought, I think it was Miller. I think
Likely.
light, yeah, which you're drinking now.
But you have to clarify between the
jam.
beer and the guest host. So because you said it was Miller,
it was
I was
Miller.
like, wait a minute, what?
Not hashtag more Miller. Miller the beer, which also really doesn't clear things up. Not Sean Miller. And I remember you were passing out beers. I'm sure we're beyond the statutes of limitation.
For what? I don't know.
I was 16 years old.
Oh, that statue.
Because I remember you handed me a beer. I was like, I never had a beer before. And you're like, you have now. And you open
Chug it, pussy.
I am that uncle. I am,
No, you fulfilled a role.
As long as he didn't sell it to you, you can do that, right? This thing.
I don't know what the rules are, but
I don't think so.
Kentucky lawyers.
As far as I knew, he was 18, Your Honor.
Sir, you do realize he needs to be 21. Well, shit.
I thought this was for fucking him. I'm sorry. This is a whole different court. I'm not supposed to be there till 11.
What
Sorry.
do you want from me? I was born in the 70s. It was okay to drink at 18 in the 70s, apparently.
I still think it's okay to drink when you're 18. I still think it's okay to drink when you're 16, unless you're my son listening to this in the future. In which case,
Because you're probably pretty drunk.
if you're listening to this, if you're listening to your dad speak 33 years, I don't even know, your 33-year-old dad talking about possibly imbibing an alcoholic beverage when he was underage, then look how things turned out. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Look how things turned out. Make better life decisions, son.
Could look at the headstone in the backyard. No. Just no.
I only did it so I could take credit for the man you've become now.
Yeah, I think a lot of credit does go to that beer.
Sorry, Blake is trying to message both of us right now, and I'm like, hey, bro, we're recording.
What's he saying?
He wants to make a Willy Wonka type dungeon for his D&D game.
I say we scrap Super Mario 64 and we all just brainstorm a Willy Wonka style dungeon.
I was
for
going to
his
say
game.
that sounds pretty neat. Can I play in Blake's game?
I'm in.
That'd be a good little Fears game to do.
That would be good.
Yeah, everybody play kids, do a horror.
That movie is essentially a horror movie.
Absolutely.
I haven't read the book because I'm illiterate, because I started drinking at a very early age.
I knew how and forgot. Isn't that weird? Like, I wish I could look at things and not immediately read them.
Yeah.
You know, like, that would make looking for, certain things on the internet a lot easier to avoid spoilers.
It also makes generally much more difficult to search for things on the internet.
Yeah, well, you can turn it on or off, but you just have to.
If you had a 12-word vocabulary, which was all just like adjectives and body parts, you'd probably be okay.
Blame Sokina right now. Ian, did you come with a intro?
An intro.
Or any sort of story about anything? Anything on your mind? Any out of left field political views you want to give a manifesto for? Anything?
I don't have views
Okay.
at all. It's less political. No, I did. Of course, I knew I'd somehow be unprepared. I
always am.
with some notes from the game, and I actually brought achievements
Perfect.
I'm just saying.
Oh right,
Yeah.
I need to do those. real quick.
I can tell you that our time at Apex was well spent. In the evenings we came, and it was for gaming. That I would come in because at the time it was basically unheard of to have a decent internet connection at home, much less one where you could play Ultima Online or Counter-Strike or Quake 2. We were in a Quake 2 team.
Yeah, we had a clan, Apex clan.
At one point, we're ranked 6th in the nation. I tell people that all the time.
I did not know that.
Yeah. We were really good.
We were really good.
But I would come down to Apex because they had a T1 or T3, whatever it was. And
this is back in 56K days.
yeah, this is when we were working for an ISP that sold 56K connections to people. And we spent most of our evenings playing video games till the wee hours. I would leave my shift. I was the tech support manager. So I'd come in the morning, work all day, leave, go home, have some food, change. Well, not really change. We didn't have really to dress nicely there.
No one cares.
I think I wore.
No one really cared.
I think I wore pajamas a few times.
Yeah. And come back and bring beer and play games and do all that. It's the greatest job ever I will ever have.
Yeah, easily.
I never ever hated coming to work there.
No,
And
I'd look forward to going to work.
we had such a good time. People would sleep there.
I did sleep there.
Frequently. Bob McChristian, our buddy Bob, would always find a way to creatively wake you guys up in the morning. One time it was playing Du Hast by Rammstein at top volume, and I think there was some Ice Cube played at one point.
Snoop Dogg was the Saturday
Snoop
morning
Dogg.
favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it was. We just had the run of the place, and but there was one time I do have a story from Apex that involves you.
That involves me.
Yes.
All right.
I was, as I mentioned, the tech support manager, and so this guy had started working. We had this policy: you could bring your own PC and game on it. You were provided a shitty PC to use to log calls and stuff. You could bring your own PC, but if you were a new employee, you had to work there for, it was a couple of months, 60 days, and prove that you knew what you were doing and that you could multitask and all that stuff before you were allowed to bring it in a game. Well, and it was kind of shitty for new hires because all of us were just sitting around gaming. Like all day while we're taking tech support calls, we're playing games. I mean, it got to be so routine. It was the same call over and over again. Go to dial-up networking and change this and change that. And it was just one we could play constantly. Well, we had this one guy that started. He was kind of a douche. And he was hounding me constantly. When do I get to bring my computer in? And I'm like, you are like 40 days in, buddy. You haven't done your thing. And he kept leaving early. He'd like, I don't feel like being here anymore. I'm pretty much done for the day. So he'd clock out and leave. I mean, it was just stuff that just irritated the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So one day, do you remember this
I
shit?
do remember this. This was a really weird situation.
It was, and I felt so bad for
No.
putting Dave in this situation.
It was weird, but it felt really awesome. I'm not gonna
It
lie.
was, in retrospect, at first it was, well, I'll get to the story. So one of the training things we did was have them listen in on an experienced tech guy. So Dave was the guy that, I don't know, what was his name?
I don't even remember. He was
That important.
Yeah.
Dave was the guy that was doing his thing.
We'll call him Ron.
Call him Ron. And Ron was listening to Dave's calls. So he could hear the interaction and understand how we're supposed to talk to the customers and everything. He had done something. He had pulled one of his shenanigans and decided he was going to leave early, or he didn't do. I don't remember what it was, but whatever it was just sent me flying. And I was at my son's baseball game. I get this call from him about, can I leave or something? And I'm fuzzy on the details, but what I do remember very vividly is I called back in, and
I picked up.
Dave picked up the phone, and I said, all right, Dave, that motherfucker. And I just went off on this guy. And I'm like, he needs, you tell him that his ass needs to be in that chair, listening to your calls and stop leaving early or his ass is fucking fired. He was listening to the call. And Dave said, and he, of course, Dave, I think you were scared of me. I think you were a little scared of me at the time.
You were my boss.
and you were 16.
And you were swearing at me.
This is true. I used to have a really bad temper, and I was just cussing this guy up. And Dave goes, Ian, I just need to inform you that he's listening to this call, and he has just gotten up and left.
And I remember your response. You were like, well, tell him to get his shit and go.
No, you don't understand. He has already left. It was very embarrassing for me because it's those moments where you kind of are very self-aware of how you just were. Like,
No,
I don't know.
No, that needed to happen. Like,
It sounded like he was
that-
a piece of shit. So yeah,
he went back to work at Logan's, I guess,
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. But he was not a good employee, and I just it was really funny.
It was hilarious.
I mean, I came back in, I guess obviously the next day or whenever it was, and we had a good laugh over it. So, but I know I scared the shit out of Dave.
You did.
Poor Dave.
That's okay though, because like the couch that you had in your office is probably the couch I've slept the most on in my entire life.
Was that not the most wonderful couch ever?
And it wasn't
It was
the
so
most
ugly.
convenient location too.
Ugly but comfortable. The best kind of couch. Green. It was like lime green. It came straight out of the 70s.
If we could get that couch in the annex, that would make me very very
what
pleased.
was everybody's handles? John was Apex Stealth. You were Red Plastic Cup.
Slave One.
Slave One. What was Brandon? Brandex.
Brand X.
Brand X.
We had Jeff Carlson was drunk.
Yeah, Apex drunk.
Dane Wells. Do you remember Dane's handle? His was the best.
Something whale.
It was Sex Whale.
Sex whale. I like that I remembered whale.
That
Not
was the,
sex.
That was the name. That was the name he used to troll IRC chat rooms in. So he went with that, and then there was Michael, who was I can't remember.
That was a long time.
It was a long time ago. I still have my shirt. Do you still have your shirt?
I didn't have a shirt.
You didn't get a shirt.
I didn't get a shirt.
What?
I didn't get a shirt.
Yeah, I think Brandon had a shirt too. I feel like I've seen that.
I didn't
Did you
get
come in on
screwed.
that far the tail end of the team, or did we just not like you?
I don't think you liked me very much.
We'll give you beer, but not a T-shirt. Okay.
That's fine. It's all right. It's okay. I'm not hurt or anything.
Because I'd been there. Brandon brought me there twice. Because I've told the story about like the first time
Yeah.
I ever met
Okay,
Dave.
so
I walked
that
in.
is-
Remember you being there at all? I
Yeah.
am so sorry.
That's okay. I remember you being there either. It's totally okay.
Okay, fair enough.
He probably didn't bring me in when his boss was there. So, but I remember the first time because Dave had a blowjob full screen
Yeah.
doing tech support. Whenever I walked in, he's like, "This is Dave," and he nods at me. Yeah, okay. It was like a.
I mean, I was professional.
Yeah.
I had an erection, but I was professional.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
That's on my business card now. Has an erection, is professional. Two
it was-
bullet points.
It was like a cross between a locker room and a club. Because
Yeah.
it was smelly and like all these weird noises, and it was really dark, and I could just see like Corey roaming around in the shadows behind everybody. So
Now, was this in the Kentucky Avenue location? Was this in the big CSI building?
this
that
was
you
the one.
visited?
It was the We Serve Sweet Squirrel comes across the street.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. The big office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bunker.
Okay, sure. Yeah, and it stunk. Oh my god, it was awful.
I don't remember that.
Dude, there was one guy who
I remember that.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Like he contributed more to the overall stink in
Yeah, he
that
did.
room than most, but
He smelled like old computer hardware and 3-month-old soup.
maybe. Yeah, it was rancid. Rancid.
Nicole, you have any intros, any stories, any really good jobs where you drink beer?
Nicole, all of this happened, by the way, when you were 5 years old. you were probably really mastering ABCs at the time.
I knew my ABCs before I was 5. I think. Pretty sure.
Bragger.
Show off.
I don't know.
You think we know the developmental scale, but we don't.
I have no idea. Henry's got it real easy. As long as he knows his ABCs before he graduates, like, he's doing pretty good, I guess.
Hey, everybody gets a trophy.
Are you on the toilet yet? Okay, well, fine.
I mean, that's great. Cool. You haven't made it yet? That's fine.
Anything you good?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Okay, well, good. I thought of one that I'll throw you in on. Since Dave had a story about Ian, I don't know if I've talked about this before. I'm your bearded host, Tyler, and
They know that. We're celebrities.
yeah, and like I've talked about. No, I hated Nicole for a long time. I love her now. She's one of my best friends now.
Wait, you say a long time, like in
Like two years.
in relation to how long we've known each other now.
It's
not
I've liked you
quite.
longer than I disliked you.
We've gotten to that point, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm like, it's pretty good. We've gotten to the point where you like me now.
yeah, you were pretty mean to me for a while.
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry.
What's an example?
I was.
Can we have an example of how you were mean? Like, were you like legitimately mean?
You tell me.
Yes, he was legitimately
Legitimately mean?
He was.
Like right at you? Like,
No, I mean, I would say it was more passive aggressive, but
Yeah, that's my art. That's my style.
you did say art first.
That's my ninja way.
yeah.
I thought you were going to tell them how I was mean in a story about me being mean.
I don't think I have any particular stories. You used your peer pressure influence to make all of your other friends not like me either. So.
Well, it wasn't like I didn't get that. I didn't tip that first domino. Josh's girlfriend before you got everything off on the wrong foot. So it's,
Nicole, I liked you from the beginning.
Thank you.
that's true. I'll testify to that. Dave was always like, I don't know. I like her.
I like her better than that other girl.
Yeah. I like her better than poor girl McBoring. So, yeah. Which, yes, we legitimately referred to her as that. But I remember one of the first things that I was like, I mean, I wasn't like, I think I did like you. I mean, you started at if it's D&D, my starting feeling was unfriendly. So, like, you didn't even come on a neutral. It was a tick down. And one of the first things that I was like, oh, God, this girl's crazy, was Christmas presents. Because I remember, like, because it was, McElwain was the one who came to me first, like, telling me the story, super angry about how, because McElwain is extremely miserly with money. Like, to the point, like, whenever we go out, if there's a cover charge, I always have to pay for it just so we can continue on with our evening, because he will not pay cover charge no matter what.
It's a date.
Yeah. Anytime we go out, I'm taking him on a date. I have to look at it like that. Maybe I can book him if I want to. It's a date. That's fine.
But he doesn't owe it to you, Tyler.
No,
you need to remember that.
And he will not pay for it.
And like he came very upset because he and Josh had made an agreement not to buy each other Christmas presents. Like we weren't going to do it. They weren't going to spend the money. And then you masterminded you didn't want that to not be the case. So you masterminded a big scheme where you had told.
That sounds like me, masterminding schemes.
Well, I've asked you about this a long time
Christmas
ago.
plots.
Yeah, it's like she weaves a Christmas web of lies in order where you tell like everybody else that like, oh, well, it's too late. Person B has already bought you a present. So you probably need so it became a whole big thing where you had told everybody else that someone else had already bought them a Christmas present. So you all exchanged Christmas presents.
I don't think that's probably not the way that happened.
How did it happen?
I don't remember that happening, actually. But if I said, I already bought you a present, it's probably because I already bought a present.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember like McElwain just like, she lied to Josh and tricked him into buying all these presents and spending his money. And I was like, that bitch.
I have a wait.
No,
Can I interject?
I have to say that if that happened, Josh did not buy any presents. I bought a present and put his name on it, for sure.
Okay, my question is, what the fuck does it matter if Nicole bought presents? Like, what? That doesn't change anything. Josh didn't buy anything. McElwain didn't buy anything. I don't understand why.
Well, no, McElwain did buy something because then he was told that like, no, we've already bought you this and you this, so it became a big thing. Then he was just upset because he didn't want to and he had to, and he blamed Nicole for it. And then I jumped on board and I was like, no, this bitch has to burn.
If I were to guess, like if this were the case today, this is probably what went down. let's not buy each other presents this year, says Sean. That sounds like a good idea. Josh agrees.
It's pretty good, Josh.
Josh comes to me and says
Josh, agreeing.
He says, I just talked to Sean and we're not going to buy presents this year. I said, well, shit, I already bought some. So I go to Sean and I say, hey, listen, I already bought presents. Don't feel like you have to get us anything, but I just wanted to let you know.
So from a person who doesn't like you, that probably sounded entirely differently than how you just said it to him. Hey, I already fucking bought you something. You're not squirming out of this. All right, we're exchanging presents. God, I hate her so much.
Well, I probably didn't sugarcoat it any, so that probably didn't help.
Yeah.
I'm pretty blunt.
What? You're saccharine sweet in all your words and facial expressions. You have like the resting sweet person face. She has good intentions.
I never trust a person who has resting sweet person face.
It's weird, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that Get Smart villain who he has the smile that allows him to walk through all the security at the CIA and get in everybody's secrets.
Mm-hmm. The TARDIS gave him that ability.
You want to talk about Mario 64?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Dave, do you hear that?
I do. It's the Polar Express.
I'm going to buy Christmas presents from fucking... It's the Christmas Web of Lies train.
I believe the Christmas Train of Lies train has left the station, which, of course, ushers in a segment that we like to call Dave Reads on Wikipedia. Okay, guys. Super Mario 64, or as it's known in Japan, Super Mario Rokujoyan, is a 1996 platform video game published by Nintendo and developed by its EAD division for the Nintendo 64. Along with Pilot Wings 64, which is eerily silent on Dorkly's
Not on the list.
It was one of the launch titles for the console. It was released in Japan in 1996 in June, and later in North America, Europe, and Australia. We are not important enough to get a date or a year. Just later. Just sometime after 1996.
It's there now. Quit bitching.
We got it. An enhanced remake called Mario 64 DS was released for the Nintendo DS in 2004. More than 11 million copies of Super Mario 64 have been sold. It's a lot. In the game, guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, Mario explores Princess Peach's castle and must rescue her from Bowser. That's it. That's all that's on Wikipedia.
I mean, they're not wrong.
No, there's more than that. But I imagine it's all stuff we're going to get into.
I think that Mario Explores Peach's Castle sounds like a euphemism.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's...
Okay, let me pull back the veil on my own personal things. So normally when someone mentions Peach, I will go on a tangent about Peach. And that is what I used to call vagina. So I still get a little bit of enjoyment whenever someone's like, do you like Peach? I love Peach. Peach is my main, blah, blah, blah. So
Was it because of the Presidents of the United States song?
it's because one of the first times when I saw a particularly nice one when she bent over, I was like, that looks like a literal peach.
So you actually made the connection yourself? Of course
myself.
it's going to be.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So it's going to be powerful.
Yeah. So, yeah. And also, okay, now that I am drinking a concoction of pure grain alcohol, take a shot, Jacob, and this sparkling ice lemonade 0-calorie stuff. It tastes somewhat like pool water. Mm-hmm. Like it does, like it's making my nasal passages, like whenever you choke on like pool water in a
I think we should
What?
center pool water out. And just let people, let people
your
guess.
nasal cavities when you choke on.
Radio edit.
Why are you drinking it if it tastes so terrible?
Because he wants to get Pokemon Snap level, I think.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. I'm already sweating, so that's something.
That's normal, though.
But to go, I feel like I need to preface a little bit of what I said about my story earlier because I remembered something just now. So let's go back just a second before we talk about more about Mario 64.
Okay.
I didn't just hate you off the bat. Here's my explanation. And we've addressed it before. Like, Dave and I, we had an episode where we talked about relationship advice where if you don't want to do something, don't blame your girlfriend for it.
Did I miss the relationship advice show? Do you guys did a relationship
Probably.
advice?
Like, that were our intro was we
It's
talked
for
about that
Patreon
for a while.
donors only.
It's like I do a Frasier impression, he's a Niles impression, and we just do podcast psychiatry about relationships. No, because Josh's poor girl McBoring girlfriend, toward the end, he did act, sort of like the caricature we portray of Josh, where he doesn't do anything. So whenever their relationship ended and he got with you, he was like, I'm not making that mistake. And he was doing anything and everything. Like activities, going to your parents' house, like going on dates, like, stuff like that. But as opposed to like being fortnite.
For 2 weeks, he was very productive.
And just like telling us that and being like, I like this girl a lot. I want to make this work. We would have had to been like, oh, that sucks. We want to see you or not, but okay, whatever. Guy angry lasts like 2 days and then you're over it. But instead, he's like, no, she's making me do this. No, she's making me do that. So then to go from other girl we hated to now like super controlling iron fist girl is like, oh, he's dating gold in my ear now. Great, wonderful. So we had to peel the illusion back first. And I was like, okay, underneath she looks mean, but she's a good person.
Much like the paintings in Super Mario 64.
Boom.
Oh, wonderful segue. You guys are professionals.
Yes.
Super Mario 64. What are your guys' overall impressions of it?
I would
get that out there.
I want to start with Nicole.
Show us your lady boner.
I love this game. That is my overall impression.
And you don't say you love many things at all.
No, I don't.
I have to squeeze it out of you like trying to teach a dog to speak English. Like, just fucking say it.
It's a weird metaphor.
I know. I thought about the Chuck Norris joke where, like, it was a Chuck Norris Harry Potter joke. That
classic.
That
old classic genre.
I know.
Chuck 1001 Chuck Norris Harry Potter jokes.
Chuck Norris doesn't speak parcel tongue. He makes snakes speak English. Okay, so you love it?
Yes.
What do you love about it? You also, Banjo-Kazooie, you said is your favorite game?
No, I didn't say that.
One of your favorite
One
games.
of your favorites.
One of my favorite games.
Where does Super Mario 64 rank on your list of games?
Do I have to give it a ranking?
No. I mean, but it's safe to assume that it's very high.
It's very high.
Have you finished this one?
No. Do you have to ask me that?
No. Well,
you already did.
Well, the day when I talked about this, I thought you said that you had gotten like all the stars on this before.
No. What? No. Have you
No.
met me?
Well, if I could see you doing this like one game before.
No.
Had you not beaten any games until like Josh and I wanted you to play through the SNES games that we love?
No, I hadn't.
Okay. So the first game you ever beat was Mario RPG?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
That was fucking the worst experience I've ever had.
Had to be that one.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
I didn't have a good experience playing it the first time either. And honestly, the second time I played it for this show, I didn't beat it.
It's all right. It's all right.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Well, breaking nostalgia glasses, yeah, it wasn't as good as I remembered.
It's not as
So,
good as Paper Mario.
All of your no, it's not. And all of your complaints about it were valid. But Mario 64, why is this better than Banjo-Kazooie?
I know my answer to that question.
I was going to say, I didn't come prepared to answer that question.
I know.
so-
I was really thinking about it because
Well, I don't think that, you didn't like Banjo-Kazooie, so.
I didn't. You're right. And I fully expected to not like Super Mario 64 because I have not yet played an N64 3D platformer that I thoroughly enjoyed.
This is the one that set the standard in my opinion. Do you agree with that at all?
I am not an expert
Are
on
you
that.
not? Okay.
Well, when it comes
But-
to the N64 list, yeah, I mean it.
Yeah.
No, it made the mountaintop that no one could reach again.
With this game changed my mind about 3D platformers for the Nintendo 64. I really, really, really enjoyed this game. I think that this was an amazing game.
You just made Nicole swoon. It was cute to see.
It makes me very happy.
When I was playing this game, this is going to make Tyler cringe. I was playing this game and I was like, this game might be better than Super Mario World. Like, I really enjoyed this game. This is an excellent, excellent, excellent game. And so I'm thinking all these weird thoughts while I'm playing an N64 game, and because it's an N64 game.
Why am I feeling joy?
Yeah. What
You're
are
like,
these?
you're like guy gets to the end of Earthbound calling me, Tyler, I feel good.
All my Sith powers are just leaving my body. I'm becoming frail. Nikki finds me in the shower, just curled up in a ball. So because I enjoyed it so much, I couldn't help but think, why do I like this game so much more than Banjo-Kazooie? How much of it is brand loyalty? And I think a lot of it is. I honestly do think a lot of it is. And I think it's impossible for me to separate that loyalty to Mario.
Well, Mario's king for a reason, though.
Yeah.
Mario's a hallmark.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because it's one of those things where it's like, I really wish I had played Super Mario 64 before I played Banjo-Kazooie, before I played Banjo-Tooie, before I played Conker's Bad Fur Day, because I honestly think that if I had played those 3 games after playing Mario 64, I would have had a better time playing.
You are absolutely accurate. I've thought that exact same thing listening up through the Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie and hearing your reaction to that. The one thing that came to my mind every time you would kind of piss all over one of those games.
Yeah, which I
was
definitely
if
did.
you had played Mario 64 first and played the Banjo games in chronological order, you'd probably feel differently.
And I think it's because Mario 64 felt like it was teaching me how to play a genre.
Absolutely.
And not only was it teaching me how to play a game, it was teaching me how to play an entire genre. And it did it in a really fun way. Like, it wasn't, I didn't feel like it was, I would take 2 steps and they teach me a new thing. Like, that's how I felt in Banjo-Kazooie. And I think they were doing that because Rare assumed that I played Mario 64. And I hadn't. So, like, all of this stuff is like, it felt like playing Banjo-Kazooie felt like having never learned multiplication and stepping into a class on algebra. Like, that's how it felt. And, like, Mario 64 is that.
It's multiplication.
Right.
So now you're gonna go back and play Banjo-Kazooie again, right? Right?
I'm not saying I won't, but it's not. It's not.
I'm not going to say you will.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to commit to that.
When Henry's grown and you're retired and all your Steam library is completely exhausted.
Maybe. Then maybe. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game, and I was thinking about why I enjoyed it more than the others. And of course, I talked about, it kind of teaches you the genre, but also this is the kind of game that gets me to collect shit, because Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are collectathons. So is Super Mario 64. But when we were talking about those other games, the Rare games, I mentioned I felt like you had to collect those things to progress. You have to collect things in Mario 64 to progress, but it's really just stars, and you can get those stars in multiple means. Like, you don't have to do everything to progress in Super Mario 64. You can do different things to progress, and I really liked that. And I liked that it wasn't Mario 64 is not open world. And I feel like Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie are very much open world. Mario 64, it's like you've got the castle, and like everything revolves around that castle. So I felt like once I learned the castle and got familiar with that castle, I was good. I could navigate through there. I didn't have to like worry about how am I going to get to the next area? How do I need to go? Like, what's the most efficient path to the next area? I didn't have to worry about that stuff because I spent so much time in that castle. I learned it, and I learned it probably in just an hour of playing it. I am going on, and everyone's looking at me and just nodding. So I'm sorry. I want to let someone else talk for a little bit.
No, just like, no, we agree. I was super pumped about this game because Cogmaster Shake had the only person who had a subscription to a gaming magazine, and with his subscription, he was mailed a VHS tape when this was still the Ultra 64, and it was the making of Mario 64, and they were interviewing the
that
team, And this is the first time I'd ever seen like motion capture technology of a guy in like the green suit with the balls all over him.
Yeah.
And he was jumping like something out of Wild and Crazy Kids. He was jumping up against like a Velcro wall to motion capture Mario either bouncing off a wall or going through a painting. And like we were super, super excited about this game.
You didn't even get a JVC boombox at the end.
Nope. Super excited about this game. For me, this suffers a little bit from the same syndrome Arkham City has for me, in which I've played the first 45 minutes to an hour so many times. So many times I've sat down to play this game, and I'm so burnt out on the start, I can't go back to it again. Like, I recognize the good things and the bad things about it, but it's just like I sit down and I'm going through these slightly familiar motions that hold zero appeal to me.
Yeah.
So it's so hard for me to sit down and play this game. But I kind of think like I'm still in camp. 3D platformers are just not my thing. But I recognize that this is the best one. It's the one like I sat down and the first few times I played that hour, I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I didn't enjoy Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, etc., etc. So. And I guess Nintendo also, like, this is, they're good at doing things that are different. Yes, there are 3D platformers for, like, PlayStation. There's Gex and, what's that, Raccoon? That's Sly Cooper.
Ranger Rick, the video game.
Rick. Like, they have their own things, but, like, Sega Saturn and PlayStation were something entirely different from the N64. So what Nintendo does here with Mario 64 did, like, it was the capstone of the new era, and they did it so well in so many different ways that I see where everything comes after this as far as like adventure games go and platforming games, action games in general all stem out from what they did here with the amount of work and polish and so many things were put into this that like the same reason I understand why Mario, the original Super Mario Brothers, controls so well, and games 20 years later just can't fucking get it right. It baffles me as to why the NES did this, and like there's so much shit out there. So like,
how do you think Super Mario 64 controls?
Other than the camera, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I like the camera. That's actually one of the things that I think sets this game apart specifically from Banjo-Kazooie is I'm not going to say I never fought the camera. There were times where I definitely fought the camera.
You cannot fight that camera from time to time. It's wonky.
But for the most part, I got to a level, like, and I don't mean like a video game level, like I got to a mental state where I didn't think about the camera anymore, which I had never experienced playing the other games. Playing by other games, I mean Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, etc. I got to a point playing this game where I didn't even think about the camera anymore. And like that moment is when everything clicked, because it was like, oh, not only can I play this game, but like I'm not struggling with the camera. I can actually be good at this game. And like once I got to that point, I really started enjoying it, because it's like, okay, how can I make this jump? How can I make this jump? How can I get to that platform? How can I collect all of these 8 coins? Because I feel like I have the tool set and I'm starting to get the skill mastery where I can do that. And I never felt like that in any other of the 3D platformers that we played. I never felt comfortable enough with the camera, let alone the control scheme, where I could be like, I'm going to collect all those music notes. And it was always like, it felt more like a chore and not a joy. But like collecting like those red coins in this game, it was a fucking joy, because I would you play the same course like 6 times. Yeah. And by the time I got to the 6th playthrough, I would be like, okay, well, the game is designed so well that it sent me to all these different locations. I have witnessed all of the coins. I know where they are. I don't have to like do a special playthrough where I'm searching a course for an hour trying to find all the coins. I know where they are. I just need to use the tools that the game has given me to collect those coins. I mean, that is like
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant design. It is brilliant game design. And it's that thing where, I mean, it's totally carrot and stick, but it is fulfilling. Like playing this game was fulfilling because I always got that sense of accomplishment where it's like, I mean, yes, they're giving me very, very bold hints, but I mean, they do it in a way where it feels like, oh, I figured this out.
But it keeps it flowing.
Yeah.
Nicely.
Yeah.
Which is, as you had said about like Majora's Mask, you get to that point where you don't know what to do and you're just running around in circles. You don't really get that so much in this game. It's easy enough to find your way out of a tough spot.
And not only that is, I didn't feel like I had to get everything. Like if I got in a tough spot, I would just move on to the next. I would say, screw this. I'm not doing this goal. What's the next one? And then eventually what I would do is come back because I learned something later on in the game that would give me the ability to come back and do that course.
And they sort of built the entire game universe around that idea of you're going to come back here later because of the boxes. So you couldn't, like the red boxes and the green boxes that wouldn't be unlocked. And you're like, it's like they're telling you, you've gotten everything you can except this one thing. And you know by reasoning it out that, well, I never did get that green box. So obviously I'm going to need to come back here later and use that to get to something. And it was, as you said, brilliant. The design of the flow of the game was wonderful.
And another,
always has been.
You talking about the switches made me think of another great bit of user interface is you can check your progress on a world. That's something that I think is invaluable because I could go to the first world, the Bob-omb world. I don't remember exactly what it's called.
Bob-omb Battlefield, I think.
Thank you. You're right. I could pause and then scroll through all the worlds that I'd been to, and it would tell me what I was missing. That is invaluable information. Not only that, it's incentive to show you, okay, you don't have to worry about, we're going to keep track of everything. All you have to do is play the game. You don't have to remember, oh, did I get 5 stars in Bob-omb Battlefield or 4? Don't worry about it. We're going to tell you that so you can just enjoy playing the game. So I think that's brilliant design too. And I know people, we've had listeners say that we're Nintendo fanboys. I never really would have considered myself that, but maybe I am. I legitimately think that Nintendo doesn't always make great games, but they usually always make well-designed games. I feel like it's really rare where I play a Nintendo game and I'm thinking, man, they just didn't think this one through. I feel like almost everything kind of has a reason. They do things for a reason. I don't think they always make the right decision. Sometimes they make a bad decision, but at least they had a reason for making that decision. Yeah, and I also am just speaking from a game design perspective, not necessarily a hardware perspective, because I do think that they really don't focus on hardware.
I wonder how different this game would have been had the N64 not been cartridge based, because I was reading a thing about the design when they were setting it up, and they were hitting the limitations constantly. They were constantly having to figure out workarounds when they were designing for this, because Nintendo deciding to stick with a cartridge compared to CDs that everyone else was using was just severely limiting. So that is why you go back to the world so many times, because they wanted to add more on, but then it became too big. Yeah, so they just had to scale it back. Well, let's just find a good way for it not to suck going to a world 8 times.
And I think that comes back to good design.
I agree, 100%.
Designing within your limitations. But I also do think that, man, that must have been a little disconcerting for the design team to be like, man, this is a launch title.
Right.
And we are running out of space. What's it going to be like a couple years down the road?
No, we'll just make shittier 3D platformers. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Someone
this
call
one
Rare.
has to lead strong, and then we'll be fine.
I have talked so much about this game. Nicole, tell me about Super Mario 64. What I specifically want to know, One of the things that is interesting to me about this game are the power-ups, because they are completely different than power-ups I've seen in previous Mario games. What do you think about like the I don't know what they're called, the wing cap?
There's the wing cap, there's the vanish cap, and the metal cap. And, the pretty self-explanatory on what they do.
One gives you wings. It's like drinking a Red Bull.
Yeah.
One makes you, the vanish cap makes you, does it make you vanish?
Makes you like translucent. So.
And you can walk through walls. It makes you a ghost, essentially.
Yeah.
And the metal cap.
Makes you heavy.
And metal, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
when I was playing this game, I was like, what power up would they have used if Terminator 2 hadn't come out? Because like that's what it felt like to me.
It looked exactly like that. You're right.
Like would it have just changed the scape of Mario 64 entirely? Would they just been like, I don't know, Rock Mario?
Yeah.
Probably, or some kind of weird like steampunk Mario where he turns into like a robot with, you see the bolts and stuff in him and like a steam.
The Big Daddy Mario.
Yeah. Is this Mario's first voice? Had
think
he ever spoken until this one?
I believe that is accurate.
Okay.
I believe he had not spoken.
and he speaks right in the beginning too.
It's a me.
It's a me.
Yeah.
And Josh also, because we were watching a speed run before I came over here, he pointed out he thinks that this is the first one that Princess Toadstool is called Peach.
I actually
Okay.
believe that
I
is
think
correct
that's
as
true.
well. Yes. I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, when she signs her note at the beginning.
Yeah, because there's voice acting.
And she
that's
signs it both ways. She signs
not a
it
lot.
Princess
Not a lot.
Toadstool Peach.
But I think that it is interesting that that Peach had voice acting. I think that's cool.
Yoshi's in this game, right? If you get all the stars.
If you get 120 stars, you see Yoshi.
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
get to use him or interact with him. I don't believe that's been a minute since I actually
Like
made
it-
to the end. But
You get, because this is me just I didn't do this in my research, so I'm just vaguely remembering. Like you get all 120 stars and unlocks a cannon outside of the castle. It allows you to shoot up to the top,
That's what I hear.
and he's up there,
He's up
and
there.
he gives you like 100 lives.
yeah, that's I do remember that. That's
Okay.
accurate.
I do think it's weird that they modeled Yoshi and he's in the game, but that's it.
But that's
like
it.
I do think that's bizarre.
And that could go towards the limitation
Yeah.
thing. You know, maybe they were going to put Yoshi in the game. And they just like, well, we got to scrap something. Let's scrap that little dinosaur turd. Nobody's ever, whatever. Nobody cares
He's
about Yoshi.
disposable anyway.
Fuck him. Get him out of here. And I think that's one of the things about Super Mario 64 that I do like is it's not a whole lot to keep up with. In the Wii U Super Mario, what is that one?
Super Mario 3D World.
That's the one. Recently beat that guy, and there's so much going on, so many storylines, so many fairies, so many things. But this is you and Mario going through here, gonna save Peach. You're gonna do your thing, and you're gonna love doing it. For me, it was odd because I was older when I was 20. I was probably 20, 21 when the 64 came out. We had a kid. And this was one of the first big purchases that my wife and I made. And we bonded over this thing a lot because we were very young when we got married. And while we were very much in love and we were very much, all the good stuff, we hadn't really found that common ground. And this N64 really helped us establish that. And the way we played it was I played and she watched and she'd help me. And she'd say, have you done, I get stuck and she'd say, have you done this? Have you done that? We were kind of like guide people a little bit, but we were the guide people that would only get to that guide when
you needed
time came. We're wasting our lives away. Let's move on to the next thing.
But the guide era was different back then.
It really
too.
was. There was no internet. There's literally no internet. I had no way of looking things up. You had the guide and you kept it as your little Mario Bible, just in case, because you're either going to go to the guide or you're going to give up and stop playing. When we brought this thing in the house and plugged it in, it was magical. And, I was like my dad when we got our first VCR. Getting all, stay back, I'm hooking this thing up. I was ready to rock. And when we fired that up and played, Mario 64 was the first game we had. It's the only game we had forever because we were poor, super broke. Fired that thing up, and I was done. It was over at that point. That is all we did. and I could not imagine, because I've been gaming since the Commodore 64. If y'all don't know what that is, it's a thing on Wikipedia about it.
It was-
you can read
it was-
that from Wikipedia.
It was the competitor to the Nintendo 64, the Commodore 64.
only about 15 years earlier, maybe. But
We've heard old men sitting on stumps telling tales.
I know. Right? This is people used to talk about the
Whittling
war.
wood.
Hey, everybody, an old man is talking.
People used to talk about the war. We were talking about the Commodore 64. I remember back in the day, we had 5 1/4 inch disc. But I turned it on, and the music alone, and the stereo sound, and the water. You know, all of the things.
The water. That's like that's your barometer.
That's a baseline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Especially the metal-ish water that you jump into to get to the metal
Like
cap
the Misty Maze or whatever.
But this is how we gamed from that point on. I'm a platform game guy. I've 100%ed, you name it. I mean, all the Banjo games, the Mario games, all the Lego games. I'm a 100%. I'm a collector, just like you.
It blew my mind that I didn't know this about you. Because you sent me a text message and I was like, Ian loves 3D platformers? Like, I had no idea.
I'm kind of a closet case.
And he hates us now after the way we talk about it.
No, I completely understand, because not everybody is of that mentality, but I am. I'm the guy that gets all the honeycombs, all the notes, all the Jinjos. I got to get it all. And I spend ridiculous amounts of hours doing it, but I feel good about it when I'm done. And the thing is, I play a lot of shooters. I play Counter-Strike or CSGO, and I try not to let my platforming game addiction.
Want to just jump on crates?
Yeah, I try not to let people know about that, but I am.
You have platforming shame?
I do, I guess I do. But I can't help myself. And I mean, Super Mario 64 was the beginning of the end for me. I mean, really I was engrossed in that game. And so was my wife. I mean, we literally just could not wait to start playing. And we went through it once, and then I went through it again.
Dude,
I could not help myself. I loved it so much.
I completely understand. I talk about this. This is speaking of a barometer, like I use this as a barometer for me and whether or not I enjoy a game. I've mentioned this on the show before. If I think about a game at work, I really like it. Mm-hmm. And I have thought about Super Mario 64 for this entire week. This entire week, I've been sitting at work being like, I'm ready to get home so I can finish like 2 worlds. If I finish 2 worlds, I can get 12 stars. And then even just doing the math, like, okay, I got to do these worlds and then I can get this. And then I can trying to figure out a way, because I want to collect all of the fucking stars. I do. I want to get all 120 stars. I managed to get a little over 70. Which is enough. A message pops up, which is another nice design thing. A message pops up that says, hey, you know those stairs you couldn't get up earlier?
Now you can.
Now you can.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, let's check that out. All right, well, I guess we're gonna fight Bowser again. So I think that's really cool. Like, it's just these really nice things where it's like, I don't have to collect all 120 coins. I can collect 70 and then go and finish the game if I want to.
Well, and I found myself, I played through it, or tried to play I couldn't play all the way through it. I didn't have time this time around, but I thought I was going to be going into this with the nostalgia glasses getting broken and thinking to myself, there's no way this is going to be as good as it used to be. Wrong. Now, I haven't played Super Mario 64 since then. I mean, since the time I was talking about before, and it was still amazing. And what really got me was all the little tricks I still remembered. Yeah. Having not thought about the game for 20 years, I still remembered some stuff like the corner thing where you got to hit the wall.
Oh, the wall kick?
Yeah. No. When you're in the cannon and you.
No. Oh, where you break the canyon wall off? Yeah.
Yeah. So I remembered that, and then I was just. It's just funny how that comes back to you. That's just the impact that it had on me. I've played and forgotten more games than I care to admit, but that one, it really got in there and stuck in my head, and I'll probably always love it.
Nicole, is this your favorite Mario game?
I was thinking about that earlier today, and I think that it is, but Mario Galaxy is a very close second.
I'm glad you bring up Mario Galaxy because playing this game, I couldn't help but think about the Mario 3D platformers that came after it. Because of course we did an episode on Mario Sunshine. Super Mario 64 is so much better than Mario Sunshine. It is ridiculous to think about how much better this game is than I think Sunshine was the next.
It was the next game.
It was
GameCube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, we're not counting like Luigi's Mansion or whatever.
No.
I mean, because that's an entirely different
That's
game.
totally, yeah.
But it was amazing to me how much better Super Mario 64 played. I think Sunshine looks great. That was what blew me away. Was like when I played Sunshine, it was like, holy shit, this game looks good still. Mario 64 does not. I don't think Mario 64 stands up graphically.
No. it can't.
Like Sunshine did, but man, that gameplay is really fun.
It's the black sheep of the Mario family. I think
Sunshine.
just because its reliance on FLUDD changes the
I think
dynamic
that,
entirely.
I think it goes back to you saying that Nintendo always designs good, but sometimes they don't always make good decisions. So
Yeah.
like Sunshine, they're trying to do something different. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Wasn't that wasn't that the one with the vacuums? Did you have vacuums?
No, it's the one that has this spray.
It's the water
spray
spigot
nozzle.
on your back.
The vacuum
Yes,
is
yes,
Luigi's
okay.
Mansion. It's the vacuum.
Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Because the parts of Mario Sunshine were like, it was these secret levels that were callbacks to Mario 64, where there's just blocks in the middle of nothing. You
Yeah.
don't have FLUDD.
Right.
I enjoyed those.
Yeah.
Because it was totally different than the normal gameplay, which I thought was frustrating in a lot of different parts. But a thing about Mario 64 that I noticed is like, so playing all the other 3D platformers that are, you said open world, because they're just totally open, and connecting the dots is kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But then, because Mario 64 has that premise of, you see the doors that have the number of stars you need to get on them. You approach a big door, you need this many stars. So it's just go to all these different worlds, try and find them, get the stars, come back. It's just, there are many stages in each world, but the objective is just clear and concise. And even when you go into the smaller worlds, it feels less like they just they didn't make a sandbox like the other games.
Yeah.
They took what would have been a 2D level and then just sort of just made it where it's still 3D. It's open, but it's still linear enough to where you're not ever lost and frustrated.
Yeah. It's a blend, right?
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, it's every course is open, but it's just the right size. It's small enough that you don't get lost and frustrated, but it's large enough to where it feels open.
And it's
You've got room.
jam-packed.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like Banjo-Kazooie where I'm spend 2 straight minutes running through a field.
A tunnel or something
Yeah.
that's empty. It speaks volumes to how platformers have changed and how much harder they've gotten. Super Mario 64 is challenging, but I wouldn't call it hard.
Yeah.
Platformers today, as they've grown, have gotten extremely difficult. I mean, and I think they're doing that because the stick on the 64 was kind of a new concept, and you're trying to walk, and you've got a weird camera angle and things like that. But in these newer platformers since then, and it was evident in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, the hub alone
Yeah.
is enormous.
Yeah.
And you could get lost just getting to a level
Which I did.
easily. And they're like that today. I just started Lego Jurassic Park, which I was waiting for that. I love that. But the hub is enormous. It in and of itself, you could play in the hub for 3 hours and never even play a level. And it's ridiculous how much it's gotten. But with Super Mario 64, it's compact. You've got the castle, you've got the levels, but it keeps you within the proper amount of constraint, like you said, to keep you from getting lost or frustrated at I can't find something because you saw it as you passed by it going to get another star or whatever.
It's a good blend for somebody who like me, who enjoys completing tasks but doesn't want to explore for 10 minutes to figure out what that task is. Some people enjoy that, and that's great. But this, I feel like, was a great compromise between the two.
I agree.
I thought it was weird that like all the normal power-ups that you're used to just they don't exist.
Yep.
Like there's no firepower, there's no fire flower.
That's it's an odd thing to do. So the fire flower, and okay, here are two a gripe I personally experienced and a gripe that I find a lot of people online have. It's a place I haven't gotten to. But one, water levels in a game like this where Mario has this huge move set. It's about platforming and moving and action, and then when you hit a water level, it's just you can swim a little faster, but it's just slow plodding along in the water. And then especially for levels where it's like collect all the coins, or collect 100 coins, where you're just very boring, shitty, just bloom, bloom, bloom for a long time. And I think that's you could have used a frog suit. You could have done something to
speed it
to make
up.
that better at least.
I get that. I understand that. My biggest complaint about the Water Worlds, however, is that the music sounded like the end of Doogie Howser. Like, I mean, it really, like I couldn't play the level like and not think about Doogie just sitting there typing away at his the world's ever first blog. And then the music in there's a lava level. I think it's called like Lethal Lava something. And that music reminded me of the music from X-Files. So it's like there was like another world where it was like I had to like, I really want to hear what's going on, but I've probably spent an hour and a half in this world. Now I can't help but think about aliens. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down while I finish the world.
Josh hypothesized that the reason that the water levels have like calm music is because you're experiencing so much anxiety with your breath meter that they do calm music so that those things kind of balance out.
That's an excellent theory.
But no, that is good.
I'm glad you brought up the breath meter too, because like this game introduces a lot of departures from other Mario games. The breath meter being one of those things. Like never really I needed to worry about. Can Mario breathe underwater? Like I would have just assumed, I mean he can. That's just that he has gills under the mustache. That's just something he can do.
Because even in the first Mario side scroll, Super Mario Brothers, you're underwater for the entire.
Just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
But this introduces.
Forget about it. Brooklyn people, gills and mustaches. Forget about it.
I got a brother in the showbiz game.
Breathing.
So that was a weird departure, I thought. Like, this game changed a lot of things about how Mario works. Mario punches enemies now. I thought that was bizarre. I'm okay with it. I mean, I went with it, but I do think it's weird that, like, one of the first things the game teaches you how to punch a Goomba. It's like, okay. I'm used to jumping on these fuckers, but I'll punch them, I guess.
At least it's still an option to jump on them.
Absolutely.
As always.
Or kick them. You can
kick them. Yeah. I honestly think they were like, holy shit, it is hard to jump on things in this game. Let's put a punch in there because it is like really hard to like control the camera and line it up perfectly. So
you have that excellent spatial understanding to be able to jump because you jump next to him and it's like
you gotta punch. You gotta have another option.
I don't think that I punched anything hardly ever. I always jumped on everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you can also dive into it for the same effect.
I did that a lot too. Yeah, diving.
And then it's like the essential it being like Mario always having a shadow underneath him.
Yeah.
So it'd be super easy just to like jump and then like, where the fuck am I gonna land? Where am I going?
Yeah.
It even tells you at one point, use your shadow to know where you are. Like the owl picks you up and carries you, and it's like watch my shadow, so you know when to let go.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
excellent. They knew. They played. They're like, oh, we got to do something here. People are not gonna know.
Yeah, because for like almost everybody, this was the first experience with a 3D platformer. It's like that had to have been a crazy, anxious feeling to be like, we're gonna like introduce most gamers to 3D gaming, period.
Right.
We better not fuck this up.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
The other common gripe I heard was the tall mountain level.
Yeah.
That essentially it was like, for however many stars in there, it was just like, climb to the top of the mountain, Okay, now climb to the top of the mountain again and hit a switch. Okay, now climb to the top of the mountain again and avoid this and do this. So that level, they sort of just like petered out on their ingenuity.
Kind of phoned it in on that one, yeah.
Well, that's another thing that breaks Mario convention is there's so many worlds in this game. Because I'm
used... Not 8?
Yeah, there's not 8. That's a magic number. That's like a sacred number, 8. And now all of a sudden there's like 12 or something like that? I mean, there's a lot. Mm-hmm. You don't need to do all of them. I didn't because I didn't have time, unfortunately. But it felt weird to me that there's not 8 worlds and there's 120 stars total. Again, that's a deviation because, like, in Mario terms,
8.
Yeah, it's 8 and then 100. Like, there's 2 numbers you got to worry about in Mario. One of them's 8, the other's 100.
Well, and usually, if I'm not mistaken, the stars, there's usually 8 stars in a level or something. It seems like 8 was also the number of stars.
8 red coins you have to get.
8 red coins.
100
but in
yellow coins.
In this one, you only had to get 6
stars.
And I think what may be the case is that the levels were relatively small. And they probably were running out of ideas of how to get you the stars, so they created 12 levels with 6 stars apiece instead of 8 levels with 8 stars, or however the math comes out.
And you're just like, just fit it in. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
They'll figure it out. The fans will have some kind of head fiction. They'll figure it out.
I just thought it was weird. I mean, they just completely. I feel like after that point, forget about worlds. Like in Sunshine, I mean, there's worlds, I guess, but in
still that hub world kind of thing. Still
in Super Mario 64, it doesn't feel themed. Like in Sunshine, the game feels very much themed.
You're on a resort.
It's resort themed, and it's like pretty much everything revolves around that. What I liked about this game is it's just Mario. I mean, it feels like 3D Super Mario World, except for the major differences that you just listed.
Well, the energy, you have an energy bar instead of like a mushroom getting hit twice.
Yeah.
See something else. I know there's no in the outside the castle. That's the only place where there's no music. So it's like whenever you turn on the N64 and you're put down here, I guess it's sort of just to awe you because there's no music, just the sound of his footsteps, the splashing of the water, a place for you to practice. And then once you hit the music and the themes and things like that, but that core is just for you to just take in the space that they've created for you.
I wish I could have experienced this in 1996. I really do. I wish I could have, because as much as I enjoyed playing this in 2015, I think that this game honestly would have changed the kind of gamer that I am if I had played it when it came out, because I feel like it would have blown me away. It still wouldn't have been my first experience with a 3D game, but like as far as a console goes, it certainly would have been. And as far as like a platformer goes, a 3D platformer, it would have been too.
Well, I have an analogy in a way. My father, obviously being older, he would talk to me about stuff that just blew him away when he was a kid. 2001: A Space Odyssey, easily the most boring movie ever created by humans. My father said,
Nicole made her face.
Well, and that's my opinion. I cared not for it at all. But my father saw it in the theater when he was young and raved about it. You're going to love this movie. It's so amazing. I mean, it's just going to blow your mind. And it didn't. Which would be the equivalent of me sitting my youngest son down, who is 14, and saying, "Oh, sit down and play this Mario game. It's going to blow your mind." And he's going to be like, "This is garbage.
He's
what
trying.
the hell is wrong with you?" So I get that now. I understand where that comes from because it really was mind-blowing.
At least he could understand the ending of Mario 64, though. I still don't understand the ending to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I've not seen this movie. I've not seen it.
I'm not.
I'm not going
to.
You really probably shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. If you were a fan of cinema, If that were your thing, and I know that is not your thing, maybe it would warrant a watch just so you have a point of reference. But it will never come up again. I promise.
If they break it into like 7 seasons, then I'm there.
Which they could. It's a very long movie. I enjoyed it, but
Matthew Perry in 7 seasons, and I'm fucking there.
I enjoyed it, but I do not pretend to understand it. That's a movie that I need a guide for.
Yeah, it's too much. You need a Brady Games guide to 2001: A Space Odyssey. And 2001 was nothing like that, by the way. We can now confirm there was nothing like that.
Everybody talking about like that was my experience. Like I was a kid. This was the first console, and this was the first game that I played essentially on my own.
Awesome.
So, I mean, you're talking about how you would be a different gamer had that been the case, had you experienced it at the time. So that was me.
Do you think that it shaped the games that you prefer?
Yeah, I think it did. Definitely.
I mean, you liked Banjo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's an accurate
I
statement,
really do think it did.
It's also the first game. It also changed all Marios in that you don't really see the wall jump in a lot of other Marios, but it's there. But like the butt stomp where you come down hard, that is iconic Mario now after this.
Yeah, because it's like I said, like this being the first console and the first game that I could play on my own is what makes it weird for you to be like all these things that depart from the standard. Because for me, this is the standard.
This is the standard. Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. That makes me feel incredibly old. I've never felt more feeble than I do right now.
Well, and I remembered the butt stomp thing being the
It's called ground pound.
Ground pound. Thank you.
I like butt stomp.
Butt stomp, ground pound. Take your pick.
Butt pound, whatever.
Whatever you want your tramp stamp to say.
I think what got me about that the most was not only was it an effective tool for killing things, it was a tool for opening doors and for getting the stumps to go down in the ground and the big buttons or the dinosaur that you hit him, and it's like if all else fails and you're stuck, try a ground pound.
That's right.
Maybe a butt stomp, whatever, and maybe that'll get you where you want to go. And I love how they incorporate those moves as tools in addition to offensive weapons. You know.
Mm-hmm.
We have Patreon
and
money.
It can save your life.
If you want that ground pound or butt stomp tramp stamp, Nicole, we will gladly pay for it out of the TADPOG money that we have donated.
TADPOG sponsored.
Or they have donated
tattoo.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I were ever going to get a tramp stamp, because, a tramp stamp's down here on your lower back, when people look at your tramp stamp is when you're having sex. So if I were ever going to get one, it would be in Elvish and it would say, speak, friend, and enter.
We'll pay for that.
Everybody write that down.
I'm actually upping my donation monthly.
Because she's a nerd. She has to comply if you come up and do it.
I love that. And you've thought about this
Oh, yeah.
too. I love that more than anything. Oh.
I should think what else I wanted to say about the game. I was frustrated by the cannons whenever I'd play.
What?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I'd always miss just a little bit, run back, do it again, miss just a little bit.
So you just weren't very good at it.
I wasn't very good at it. I got frustrated by it. Yeah.
You do. You have to aim higher than where,
Yeah.
And they take a long time to get used to because I honestly didn't like them at first either. And then I figured out you have to aim up probably 15% higher than where you want to end
Because
up.
again, we're dealing with gravity, we're dealing with 3 dimensions, we're dealing with arcs. It's like playing Worms all over again. You're having to factor in where you're going to be based on gravity.
Need that ninja rope.
It's tough.
I just also noticed, as opposed to other levels, Babam Battlefield is the only level that has no instant death places. So the pacing in this game is done very well as they acclimate and teach you tons of different jumps that, doing my research, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Okay, all right. Side jump and this long jump. Okay, didn't know those were things. All right.
Yeah,
So-
the backflip, which I think
I love that move.
They bring, they use in Banjo-Kazooie. I loved that they give you all these different tools to platform with, and they all felt very concise and usable. I know I keep going back to Banjo-Kazooie, but like I had a hard time grasping all those because it's like I had to learn a bunch of those all at once, and they involve multiple characters, and I felt like I could never do them consistently. But in this game, I felt like I could, like they were easy to remember, and I could use them pretty much whenever I needed to. The hardest of that being the side jump, where you have to make a sharp U-turn and jump. I think that was the
Very
hardest
tough.
one.
Because I didn't know the long jump. So, like, on the lava world, I would just, like, all right, well, I'm making my butt burn and go really high in the air, and then I'll finish that jump. Because clearly there's no other way to do it. So it's fine.
That's breaking another convention, is that the lava doesn't kill you when you touch it.
Yeah.
It just rockets you up into the sky.
And you can use that to avoid a lot of shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to fall up here and skip this whole, that looks like a frustrating a pole to climb. So I'll just go ahead and jump up to the next level.
Yeah.
Great.
It's worth the sacrifice.
Do you guys have any achievements?
No.
Or we haven't even talked about
don't.
Bowser, fighting fucking Bowser in this game, and how fighting Bowser is completely different than
Yeah.
how you fight Bowser in every other game, including like Sunshine. It's totally different.
But see, I think that's consistent. I think they pretty much, for the most part, keep the Bowser battle different. Because I remember clearly the first time I fought Bowser in Super Mario Brothers 3. And I was like, holy shit, he just kills himself. You just move and he just smashes, spoilers. You just move and he just smashes himself down through the bricks. And then it was just completely different than Super Mario Brothers 1 and completely different than World when he's in his clown vehicle. So I love that.
And in Sunshine, where he just in his hot tub. I liked Sunshine okay, but God, that was such a shitty final boss. It was really shitty.
I still need to finish that game. Nicole, I still have your copy of Sunshine, but I have not played it since we
Just like
talked about
Bowser's in a hot tub, and like you just go and just drain his hot tub. You win. You ruined his vacation. It's resort themed.
it. So I'm sorry. I totally interrupted you to gush about Bowser.
Because Bowser, he walks like the Mecha Koopas do in Super Mario World. And you have to run around and catch his tail and then give yourself a Christ nail wound in your palm as you circle the stick around and spin him around in a circle very, very fast. It's just like Jesus, Nicole.
You don't have to use your
just
palm.
like Jesus.
You don't have to use your
No,
palm.
you do not.
You use your thumb.
I use my thumb.
It accelerates eventually. You just keep turning in the same speed, and eventually he'll spin him faster and faster and faster, and then. My problem
clearly
was
you guys don't want to emulate Jesus, so that's But yeah, you just spin faster, let go, and throw him into a bomb. It's just really different.
I forgot about the bomb. I wasn't thinking about the bomb. I just threw him off the side. I'm like, ha, fuck you, Bowser. Oh,
Goes
yeah.
back up.
Shit, wait a minute. There's a bomb over there.
Because it changes, like they're just fewer bombs, and you have to do it more times. How does the challenge?
Like because you fight Bowser 3 times, and the big challenge is the last one because it seems just like the first 2 times you've fought him. You throw him into a bomb, you're done. But what happens is you throw him into a bomb once, and then all of a sudden the level you're standing on just like starts to crumble, and now all of a sudden you have to throw him really far to hit bombs. It took me a long time because it's fucking hard it's like the fucking hammer throw. It's exactly like a track and field. You're grabbing fucking Bowser by the tail and Mario's pivoting on his heels, and it is impossible for me to aim it. I'm sure there are people who are very good at Mario 64 who like know the exact moment to let him go, but man, I kept throwing him just right of the bomb. Sometimes I'd throw him too hard and he'd go over the bomb. And then every time he jumps up, and when he does, sends out this shockwave that you have to jump over. With that being said, it only took me 3 tries before I beat him, which I think is a testament to the game and it's knowing how difficult it needs to be. I know a design rule. I don't know if this applied for Super Mario 64, but I know in previous Mario games, the design rule was they would design a level and then make it 30% easier than they originally designed it. That's just how Mario games were. I guess the Lost Levels skipped those rules.
Let's reverse that. Make it 30% harder.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have any achievements?
Yes.
Yes. Nicole, you want to go first then? Well, yeah, we'll go Nicole, Ian, me, and then while Dave thinks.
Okay.
I'm
No?
not going to do them.
Okay.
I gave up.
Let's see. I have flying through the air with the greatest of ease. You get that whenever you do a flip off every tree. Because you do the flip off a tree. It's really fun.
Okay.
Handstand.
do the
I believe you.
Handstand.
And not with your
Yeah.
middle finger, actually flipping off.
Let's see. Because I had 3. And then accessories really make the outfit. You get that whenever you lose your hat.
Yeah, the condor steals your hat. And I have a question. You might know the answer. You two might know the answer to this question, which I've got really excited about for some reason. There is a world where there's a condor and it steals your hat. And you can end the level without your hat. And Mario comes out of the level and he like touches his head and realizes that his hat's gone. And then he like pats his pockets, can't find his hat, and he shrugs.
Yeah.
So what, like, I mean, so the condor just wears it at that point? What does it? What
keeps it,
He just
I
sells it?
I think you get it back eventually.
I think you have to go back and get it.
Because I know when you're in the world, you have to go back and get
Yeah,
it.
you can leave, but I think that, and you can continue on without it, but I think that you're
I
weaker.
think you have to-
Because that was my
yeah.
question. What's
Yeah.
the difference? And can you finish the game without it? Like
I think that you're weaker if you don't have it.
Yeah.
But I think you can continue on.
I think you have to like go back in and kick him in the condor balls or something, and he drops the hat, and then the hat. Do I remember right that the hat like runs away? Or
Yeah, the hat
something?
moves. You
You
have to
gotta
chase it.
catch the
You have to
hat.
chase
This
Like,
game
fuck
has
you, hat.
this
I gave
world
you a
has
good home.
weird rules.
hat physics.
You got to have your strength hat, man. Everybody's got one.
It's just like a hat to run off on you after giving it a good home for all these years.
Does everybody in this game, in this universe, have some form of hat? Bowser has a crown, Peach has a crown, Mario and Luigi have hats. All the Toad Kingdoms, you've seen them take off that
hat for Yoshi.
mushroom thing.
Luigi's not in it, which I think is interesting. That's a question I had on my notes. Where's Luigi? He's not even mentioned.
We all know that Luigi's been sort of the redheaded stepchild of the whatever Mario's last name family. is.
Sure, but at least like even in like Paper Mario, it's like, oh hey,
He's at home.
Hey slave brother, check my mail. This
Mario
game is not
RPG,
even-
he makes a wish to be more like Mario, and he's leading a parade, so like he gets the bare minimum of
Right.
service.
And then they give him his first title, Luigi's Mansion, which is like, weak.
I haven't played it. I need to.
I hear mixed
enjoyed
things
it.
about it.
I haven't played the one that's for GameCube, the original, but I have the newer one for
Yeah.
the 3DS, and I really like it.
I played the first one on GameCube, and I did like it. It was just a weaker title than what I was used to from the franchise.
'Cause it's
We-
completely different,
I'm
right?
changing the subject.
No,
now,
it's
but
it's a podcast. I think that happens.
never happened on the show. I know.
We're very like. It's amazing that Dave and I wrote this script ahead of time, and we spent all week like trying to make it sound organic
Rehearsing,
and good,
yeah.
rehearsing it over and over.
Before I go to bed, I call you and I'm like, "Hey Tyler, if you were to give this game a beard, what kind of beard would it be?"
It's like the guy who is the normal host of the Crack podcast is out right now, so he has
Jack.
a new guest.
I know. I
Who
think it's
is
his
just
brother,
like
right?
is straight up just reading from note
You're talking about
cards.
last week's.
Like the last 2 weeks, yeah.
No, it's been 2 different guys. The
Oh.
one this week was
Well, they
one
both-
of the
they both
regular
sound-
co-hosts. The one last week was terrible.
When I
He
think
was so bad.
what's funny is I felt like he was trying to do it in Jack's voice. Did it seem that way to you guys? Because like when I heard it, I was like, "Wait, something. This is weird. Jack sounds weird today." Anyway,
You had a third
I
achievement.
do
More
have a third
achievements.
achievement. I had to think really hard because I almost forgot it. It's called infanticide, and you get that whenever you take the baby penguin and
Fuck you!
throw it off the cliff in front of its mother.
Oh my god, that's amazing that you said that because one of my achievements involves that fucking baby penguin.
And also one of mine.
Really?
Everybody loves baby penguin.
Or the opposite.
or they don't, which could be the case for me.
Okay, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay, so I had a Quiet Riot song stuck in my head when I was coming up with these achievements. So these achievements are Quiet Riot themed.
We had a theme? Yeah, we haven't had a theme in a while.
These achievements are Quiet Riot themed. The first one is Mental Health. Make it to the star at the bottom of Jolly Roger Bay on your first try. Because you have to get the cap and turn metal and go all the way to the thing. And it's kind of hard to find either the right spot to drop straight down or you get there just in the nick of time. Because you can't.
Because it starts running out.
You have to get down to the grate and jump up to get the star. You can't even go down there and have the metal cap wear off and then you float up to the star. It kicks you off to the side and you're done. So if you can do that, you've earned mental health. The next one is Bang Your Head. Hit your head on the wall 30 times attempting to perform a wall kick. Guess whether or not I earned that achievement. And Come On Feel the Noise, which is to earn Come On Feel the Noise.
The one I know.
Incidentally, Mental Health and Bang Your Head are the same song. Everybody thinks Bang Your Head is the title, but it's Mental Health parentheses Bang Your Head. Come On Feel the Noise is not to throw that annoying fucking baby penguin off the cliff on purpose just because it won't shut up. That noise that penguin makes drove me crazy. And it's hard because you're walking down the thing and you drop him and I was tempted when I walked up to that mother penguin, who, by the way, keep up with your kid. and yes, I fell for the first penguin trick.
I know, the one that's nearby.
You fucking bitch. Just take it and give me my star. It was very tempting to me, almost worth it to me to just take that penguin and throw him. Next time, keep up with your kids and teach them how to not cry. Anyway,
but the penguin.
I want to know how accurate that penguin sound is, because I don't know that I've ever heard a penguin make a noise.
I think someone fell asleep on a key on the keyboard. And they just said, hey, that could be a penguin.
I think we need to buy a penguin to find out.
Oh.
Have it shipped here to the annex.
Patreon.com. Do it.
We need some penguin money.
We have my penguin.
That's a goal. There's a goal to get Nicole a tattoo. And then right below it, I don't know, $40,000.
Buy annex penguin. I guess I also want to mention what I think was cool about the game is there's a mirror in the castle. When you go walk up to it, you can see behind you that your camera is Lakitu with the camera on the fishing pole.
Which in the beginning you see Lakitu in the clouds, and I love that. I feel like half the game you're playing as Lakitu because anytime you move the camera, you're essentially moving him.
I want that ROM hack where you're just Lakitu and you're trying to stay behind Mario the whole game.
Keep it in frame or you're fired.
There's an input that shows up. Oh, I need to get to the right. Okay, you press C button right. Okay.
I've got 2 achievements. The first one is look at the pain that I'm going to cause you. And that is when you grab the baby penguin, walk up to the mother penguin, and drop it off the cliff. The second one being I don't play fetch. And beat the game without getting any of the coin retrieval stars. Because that's the only part of these games I hate. I hate coin gathering.
I came up with a few. Dude, usually when I come...
Yeah, nope, it's fine.
Usually when I come,
stop.
It's amazing.
Everybody loves it.
Usually when I come to the show with achievements, it means that I really enjoyed the game. But I feel like this is an exception because I actually played this game. I didn't want to stop playing this game to come up with achievements. So thank you all for going first to let me come up with a few. Tyler, I liked yours very much with the penguin. And it reminded me of something, but I cannot remember the name of Michael Jackson's baby.
Blanket.
Blanket. So to unlock Blanket's an achievement. You make a decision. You can either unlock your achievement or the Blanket achievement. The Blanket is you dangle the baby penguin over the ledge for an uncomfortable amount of time, and then you turn around and turn him into.
Forgot about that weird moment where you did that.
I've got another achievement. It is called The Real Super Dave Osborne. And in order to unlock The Real Super Dave Osborne, you fire yourself out of a cannon, and you have to land in another cannon. I do not think this is a possible achievement. But if you pull it off, you do get you get a reward. And I got one more achievement, and it is called "Come with Me If You Want to Live." And in order to unlock "Come with Me If You Want to Live," you need to find the green switch, which unlocks the green block, which gives you the metal cap. It is the green one that gives you the metal cap, right? And the blue one gives you vanish, and red gives you the wing cap. Is anyone here good with the wing cap, by the way? Because I felt like I was awful at it.
I think it takes a lot of practice.
It does take. It's like swimming, really. It's funny too, because when you're swimming, well, no, maybe it's the other way around. But you got to go down to go up.
Yeah, they invert the controls.
And that's how I've always played everything, shooters and all. Down is up for me. It's flying a plane or a helicopter or whatever.
That's a tough one for me.
I can't. I always change it. I hate it.
And swimming is easy compared to the flying, especially when you have to fly through a certain number of coins.
Yeah.
The good news is they don't penalize you for not getting them all on your first try and make you start all over. I mean, they'll leave it hanging and you get it and they reward you. But tough. Flying is tough.
Sorry, I snuck another Mario 64 question in there. I just really enjoyed this game. I feel like our game talk to butthole talk ratio is way off. In this episode.
You're right.
Way off. A lot of listeners are really disappointed.
Super Smash Brothers is going to be a totally different episode.
Yeah. Tyler, if you were to compare a character in Super Smash Brothers to your butthole, what character do you think you would choose?
Pichu. It's small and hurts itself.
Tyler.
He's not even in the original Smash Brothers. So never mind.
I have never played it.
Mewtwo.
I can't correct you.
It's psychic and mutated. There you go.
And extremely rare. Tyler.
Yes, Dave.
If you were to give this game a beard that sums up how you feel about it, what kind of beard would you give it?
I would have to give it the colored and stylized and like metal studded beards from the people in the government district in the Hunger Games.
Okay. Right. Awesome.
Because in the Hunger Games, like, that is just like, to them, that's in style and fashionable, and that's where it has gotten to. But to everyone else, like, they're either not there yet or they're past that, and they think they can appreciate their style, but it looks silly now. but it's really good to the people who enjoy it.
I thought you were going to say because Super Mario 64 is for the social elite.
You probably play Mario 64 if you binge, throw up, and then eat more.
Tyler.
Yes, Dave.
If you were to give this game a pair of glasses, that sums up how you feel about it. What kind of glasses would you give it?
I would give it a pair of contact lenses that are the hard kind you have to clean with special soap and keep in a special container and things like that, and there's your contacts forever. Because contacts were groundbreaking in the ocular world. So it's the first thing, like, you don't have glasses, you can have these contacts. Things since then have evolved, are better, and have evolved from this, soft disposable contacts, LASIK. So there are better things, but this was the groundbreaking thing.
Okay. What color are they? Colored, or are they're just regular?
It's plain,
Like
dog.
old school.
Not like Thriller.
Or the
Cat eye.
the Grinch, the Grinch is still the solid black one that like made Jim Carrey want to kill himself from all the
What?
pain.
You're talking about the giant
The
ones?
whole eye
Yeah.
black ones. Like he had to
Yeah.
go like a Navy SEAL had to train, like teach him exercises to like defer the pain so he could like finish scenes and stuff like that.
Ugh.
Yeah, supposedly it was just awful. So there you go.
I've got another question. This is for everybody. This is everyone. Everyone gets to play this one. I want to know how much is this game on Amazon? That's what I want to know. How much is Super Mario 64 used on Amazon? We'll use Price is Right rules.
I know that this is the 7th best selling game in the United States. Period.
Today? Like
Today,
still?
overall, of all
Wow.
time, all video game sales,
Yeah.
7th highest sold.
Okay.
So I'm gonna lowball it. It came with the N64.
Uh-huh. There's probably a bunch of them. We know it sold 11 million copies.
Yeah. So $6.
$6 from Tyler. Nicole.
What's the number one selling game?
Don't know.
You're no help to me.
Nope. None.
Candyland.
I'll buy you a Christmas
Monopoly.
present though. We can exchange Christmas presents this year.
Okay,
We can do that.
I'm gonna say $9.
$9. Got $6 from Tyler, $9 from Nicole. Ian, how much do you think this game is on Amazon?
I'm going to go high
Okay.
at $23.
$23 from Ian. Actual retail value of Super Mario 64 used on Amazon for the Nintendo 64 at the time of this recording is $19.99. Nicole, you take it.
Yay.
Ian, you were barely over.
Bum, 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 bum.
Wow. Okay. So new, it's got to be outrageous
Let's take some guesses. Tyler, how much do you think this game is new?
because it came. Surely they sold it as a standalone game, but everybody had it from buying their N64. So if it's as rare as like the standalone Super Mario's were, Super Mario World for the SNES, $370.
$370?
Yep.
Nicole, what do you think? How much is it new?
$250.
$250? Ian, what do you think?
400.
$400. What's the sound they play on Price is Right when everyone's over? Actual retail price of this game, new on Amazon, is $144.75.
That's crazy.
It is
Not
it is
what I would've
lower
thought.
than I thought it would have been too.
Huh.
Actually, I remember Bob Barker used to just kind of look at the contestants like, you dumbass.
He'd take his dick out
fine.
and wag it.
It's an hour show. Let's just do it again. Try again. Loser.
Rip the balls off a dog.
Yeah.
Spay and neuter.
When he started that show, I think that's probably how they did it at legitimate
Bands.
veterinarians.
That's all we got. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Thanks, you two, Nicole, Ian, for being on the show. I feel bad. I feel like I talked a whole lot. I gushed a lot.
I liked hearing you gush. It makes
was
me
good.
happy that you enjoyed this
Yeah.
game.
Especially given your reaction to previous
Yeah.
of the genre. I'm glad you were so happy with this.
I'm gonna get
I
it.
was afraid we were going to have to fight.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get it real bad. I think because I'm gonna get that Nintendo fanboy feedback. I feel like that's okay. It's all right. I'm just speaking the truth.
Maybe I
enjoyed
guess
this
I
game.
guess Twitter is just a way more of an open dialogue than Facebook.
I get direct messages. Like
No one says shit to me. I never get corrections, complaints.
Yeah.
Nothing comes to me.
well,
I'll start
historically,
commenting on every one of your Facebook posts.
historically, I'm so much more approachable than you.
I know.
We may yet fight. You haven't played Ocarina yet?
I have not played Ocarina
Number
of Time.
one.
Octopusa or whatever you're going to
Octopus of Time.
Octopussy of Time.
I think I'm coming back for that one. If when we get to that point. So we may yet have a fight.
We might have a fight. Again, historically, to use the term historically, not a big Zelda fan. So we'll see.
This
But
one reeks of it.
yeah,
It is. So.
I mean, it's right there in the
But
title.
Are you done, Nicole? Is this your last game on the list, or are you interested in Smash Brothers or Orochimaru time?
I think I might have to fight with Josh to do Ocarina of Time. 'Cause
Okay.
Glad I got my spot early. There will be fighting, apparently.
it
one
may
way
be
or the
it may
other.
be the end for me.
Well, depending on if Dave likes it or not and wants to finish it, it could be 2 episodes. So we'll see.
I think it has to be 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Huge game.
I
Why give Majora's Mask
Right.
2 episodes and then not give the one that's universally regarded as being better one?
and if I don't like it and don't want to finish it, then we have a full episode where I can talk about buttholes.
Okay, good point. Good point. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. So don't miss the next episode. Probably some kind of advert game.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
And then, but next Wednesday will be Dorkly's second ranked game, Super Smash Brothers. We still love 5-star iTunes reviews. Need them very badly. We're at 122. It's awesome. Thank you. But like the human species, we're greedy and we just can't get enough. We don't know when to stop, so
Yeah.
we just want more.
We need a certain number of stars before we can progress to the next podcasting
Yep.
level. We haven't collected enough yet.
So help us, help you, help us. Leave us a 5-star review if there is written 5-star review. If there is an episode you want us to do, a guest host you want for a certain episode, include that in your review. And we promise we will get to that eventually.
Don't worry, guys. Like Tyler said, we're going to be back. We're going to be talking about something. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Just show up on Monday. There'll be an episode probably. In the meantime, you can always find us on tadpog.com. That's where the show notes live. You can find us on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/tadpog. There's a lot of cool people there. They're doing a lot of cool shit. What did you think about Mario 64? That is the best place to let us know how you felt about the game. And how, I mean, what do you think about this? What do you think? What, not enough buttholes? Not enough butthole talk? I get it. I understand. You can find us on Twitter. We're at tadpog_podcast. It's cumbersome. I realize. Thank you for everybody who is favoriting our tweets and retweeting us. Nicole, you're a big Twitter supporter of ours. Ian, you tweeted a bunch today.
On a binge.
I know. And it's like, it was cool because I got to track what you were listening to today because it's like, all right, well, Ian's listening to GoldenEye right now. You know what else? We're on Patreon. If you want to kick in a few bucks, that's the way to do it. Now is the time to do it because we're gonna drop a bonus episode on Friday. Mm-hmm. It's the infamous "Too Hot for Two Dudes and an S"
I'm
episode.
totally getting this now.
You are
This is
getting
exciting. I didn't know about this till tonight. This is awesome.
You are gonna be getting this. It is an episode that we recorded with another podcast, a great podcast called Two Dudes and a Nest. Definitely check them out. Where we just completely made a show that they cannot publish on there.
They're like, no, say whatever you want. Okay.
Tyler really took that at face value.
Thank you.
What?
I was like Jafar getting his genie powers. Infinite cosmic power. And then the way they said they didn't want to publish it, itty bitty living space.
I legitimately think it's a hilarious episode. That's, you know what, you didn't get your quota of butthole and dicks. I promise you that is 98% of the show that we're gonna drop on Friday for the Patreon donors. So I don't know. If you're gonna kick in, now's a great time to do it.
And we've got the next 2 special Patreon specials in the barrel.
Yeah.
So throw in $1, subscribe, and you'll be getting monthly episodes for $1.
They need a penguin, guys.
We need a penguin.
do badly.
Nicole needs a tramp stamp.
We need a
Tramp stamps
penguin
and penguins.
to give Nicole a tramp stamp. It's fine. Penguins know Elvish. It's just like it's in their blood.
That's where Tolkien got it from.
I think he came up with that on his own. It's a penguin.
He was spending time amongst the penguins. He was like, this is a pretty good language.
He's the Jane Goodall of penguins.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Thank you. I want to thank Patrick Frost, who just recently pledged to the Patreon. Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who has. It really does mean the world to us. Lastly, if you want to call us and leave us a voicemail, we will probably play that on the show in 2017 when we get to it. You can do that at 270-883-2555. You can also text if you'd like, but just know that I'll fuck up whatever you type. That's it. That's my spiel.
Ian,
Yes.
our theme song.
I knew you were going to ask me. I got the band. I can never get the title of the song. I don't know why. I even tried to remember it just because I knew you were going to ask me.
All right, well, the Nicole, our theme song.
Moves.
Ian, by whom?
Sycamore Drive.
And where can a link to that track be found?
The show notes, of course,
Where are those located?
on tadpog.com.
There you go.
Nailed it.
There you go. Ian, again, it's your first time. How do you want to close this out?
Oh, God. See, I don't know.
Anything you want.
Anything? I
You
want her
get
to,
your Jafar powers. Anything you want.
I want her to tell the tramp stamp story again.
No.
Just because.
Say it as if your vagina is opening for everybody. A blossoming peach for all to see.
At least it wasn't you shall not pass.
Yeah, those are two different messages, right?
Yeah.
Really.
That one is just like an inch and a half higher.
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on.
Thrilled to
It
be
was good.
here.
Yeah.
It was strange to be here, but it sounds exactly the same.
In the
See,
monitors,
it's like,
yeah.
you know, live action.
At least you knew what we looked like beforehand. Because
Are people surprised?
yeah,
Are they?
I think people are surprised.
That's what I hate. I do everything I can to avoid seeing what people look like that I listen to regularly, like on the radio, on podcasts or stuff. I avoid it because I don't want to know.
Because you were sad about Krat because you thought what Jack was like. He sounded super hot to
No,
you.
I think Jack is hot. It was one of the other guys that I thought sounded hot that is not hot at all. I was super disappointed.
Allegedly.
It was that one show with the movie rather Airheads.
Oh, I remember.
Oh,
Airheads.
yeah.
So
I
they-
watched that.
They have it's Harry Shearer, the guy that does Homer's voice, or
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Homer, but
Or
like
Dan
Principal
Kent's-
Skinner and
yeah.
all. And he's all, sounds really sexy on the radio. and then they get to the radio station, and he's like the slob. And in person, he talks like, "Hey, how are you? It's nice to meet you."
Because Comedy Central showed that
Yep.
and PCU
Yep.
back to
Yep.
back to
Awesome.
back until I was like, fuck it, Saturday afternoon, I have not else to do. I'll fucking watch these movies.
You know what that meant for me? I watched TV for 2 hours on and then 2 hours off because I hated PCU. It was just like, all right, Airheads. All right, let's take a 2 hour break. Come back, watch Airheads again.
I will say that I will close the show in a fashion that I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I'm going to re-encourage everybody to donate you guys money on Patreon.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And I say that not just because you're my friends, but because you're doing such a good job. I have wasted money, way more money than I'm donating to you guys on shit that didn't last 5 minutes. And I will sit at work listening to you guys while I'm working. I'm laughing so much that I'm annoying my coworkers. What the hell are you fucking doing over there? None of your damn business.
Just tell about 300 more hours.
Yeah,
Done.
almost done.
Now, I read a trick online, and this is what I do in my office whenever I'm listening to podcasts, is if you are about to laugh in a situation where you don't need to laugh, is to like bite a pencil or put something in your mouth like that, and it actually works pretty well. So, if
So
you,
people just think like,
yeah, people walk
you
by
have
and
the oral
see me
fixation.
with a pencil in my mouth at work. That's what,
Well, I could give a fuck. I mean, really.
no, my
I don't
office,
care.
like you could hear a pin drop. So if I started laughing, everybody
gotcha,
would
I
know.
gotcha.
I laugh. I laugh.
before I forget about it, and someone will mention it to Dave. The part in the beginning of this Mario 64 when you can mess with Mario's face.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pulling it apart in all different directions.
The attract mode. How do we not talk about that?
But that's all I did in Toys R Us when I was little. I didn't have an N64. I would just go and do that. Drew Rowland posted a very good Donald Trump gif of somebody. It's like Donald Trump's head on that screen, him pulling it, and all his weird facial reactions. But so because of that, I think we should close out the show in racist Italian Mario voices.
Okay.
Not Donald Trump.
Wait, better point. We'll close it out like Donald Trump.
All
I
right.
like that.
Our next president.
Our next.
Let's close it as our
president.
next president. I know. Your face sums up how I feel, Nicole.
I think that Josh and I have decided that we'll just move, if that's the case.
All right. I'll move with you guys. Pack me in a box. Just write Dave. Dave plus sex toys on it.
Go to a better country than Donald Trump. Congo. We'll go to the Congo.
Amy, good gorilla. Just throwing that out there.
So until next time, Tropical Capricorn. That's all right.
Yeah.
Hey Nicole, I love you. Hey, I love you. I love you, bro. Now you gonna say it back to me? A pat is not the same.
nice.
A pat is not the same.
I wish that Pat could have like transferred the audio.
You said it to me at least 6 times before this.
I don't know if it's 6. I'm pretty sure that it's less than 6. I think it's like 3.
Well, have a few drinks and then you'll tell me you love me.
Maybe.